Good morning, students. Today we will talk about how to choose a sampling method. We discussed sampling methods in our last video. Today we will just have a quick revision of all the sampling methods because we are going to choose one of them. So we'll just have a quick revision of these sampling methods. Sampling methods can be divided in two parts. One is probability sampling and another one is non-probability sampling. Probability sampling can also be further divided in four parts. One is simple random sampling, systematic random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling. And non-probability sampling is also divided in four parts: convenience sampling, judgmental or purposive sampling, snowball sampling, and quota sampling. What these sampling procedures are basically, let us have a look at them through these diagrams. Simple random sampling means you are actually choosing any person randomly. You do not have to define anything. When we talk about probability sampling methods, these are those methods which are on the basis of probability. 100% pure probability method is going to be applied in them. You will be choosing everything randomly. There is an equal chance for everyone to get selected, right? So simple random method is the simplest method when we talk about probability sampling methods, and it is actually a sampling procedure that ensures that each element in the population will have an equal chance of being included in the sample. So you can choose anyone among them without thinking twice, right? That is simple random sampling. Then systematic sample. We discussed some systematic sample in the last slide. What is it? It is basically choosing every nth person from the whole sample. For example, if you want to choose 100 people out of 1000 people available in the population, what will you do? You will divide total population by the number of sample required. Total population here is 1000 and sample is 100, right? 1000 divided by 100 is equal to 10. So you will be choosing every 10th person from the whole population. Like you can see in this example, every third person is being chosen, right? So this way you can decide on the basis of sample. This is again the simplest method, and it is most widely used when it comes to probability sampling methods. Then stratified sampling, it is basically the population is first divided into subgroups, or you can call them stratas, who share a similar characteristic. You have divided the whole population in two groups. Here you can divide whole population in 2, 3, 4, 5 number of groups as per the convenience, as per the number of characteristics available to you. And then you will be choosing people randomly from each strata. For example, you can choose people from here, and then you will be choosing people from this strata. Then you will be choosing people from third strata, fourth, fifth, sixth, as in number of from all the stratas available. It depends on number of people in each strata, that how many people you would be choosing from each strata. Then cluster sampling. Cluster sampling also, we divide the whole population in in sub parts, and we, in case of strata, what we were doing, we were making strata of homogeneous people. The strata would contain all the similar people in one strata, then all the similar people in second strata, but these are different from first strata, right? People of first strata. But in case of cluster, we will try to involve all the people, all kind of people in each cluster. For example, I have got 100 people in the company who is actually the part of the whole population of my research study, and I need to select just 10 people. Then I'll be making groups of 10 each. I will make sure that each group contains at least one manager, one clerical staff, one from the mm, uh, one from the third grade people, one from the A category people, like this. I will make sure of that if I am talking about some opinions. Or I can do something like that also, like I will try to include people of every age group in all the clusters. For example, I can define, for example, if I need to choose 6 people each cluster, or maybe let's see 10 people each cluster. Then what I'll do, I will be choosing all 10 people from different age group in one cluster. Then again the same process would be followed for second cluster and third and fourth and so on. This way you can decide to choose clusters. We have discussed examples also of cluster sampling. Then there is one more technique, that is multi-stage area sampling. Multi-stage area sampling is actually a kind of cluster, you can say two-stage cluster sampling. Like in cluster sampling, what we did, we made different clusters of the whole population, and then we decided and we have chosen one cluster out of that. That's it. But in multi-stage sampling, what we do is, initially we will be making few clusters, then we will choose one cluster, and even from that last final cluster, we will be choosing some people out of that. Like we will be finalizing a subsample from that cluster also now. So it is basically multi-stage. You involve different stages in case of multi-stage sampling. You can actually divide the whole population once and then choose a cluster. Then again from that cluster you can choose one small cluster, and even after that you can choose one more smaller cluster from that small cluster as well. It depends on the purpose of your research, that how many clusters, how many subdivisions you will be making. But it is actually called multi-stage for that reason only, because you will be reducing the sample, you will be deciding the sample on or at almost every stage. These were probability sampling methods. Now non-probability sampling methods, convenience sampling method. When we go and choose people as per our convenience, for example, if I need to study perception of students in a university and I choose just one class, I choose students of just one class because I know them personally or something like that, then it is actually convenience sampling, because I know that choosing them was the convenient most method and I have chosen them. It is convenience. It does not serve the whole purpose sometimes. Then purposive or judgmental sampling, you choose people on the basis of your judgment, because you know that you need some kind of answers, and you know that this person is going to reply me for all the questions I have. So you choose people accordingly. For example, you have chosen this person because you know that this person knows about the issues and he will reply. You leave this person because you know that this person might not know everything about the issue, right? So this is on the basis of judgment. We discussed the example of a school in our last video. For example, if you want to know about everything related to school, then what will you do? You will choose one intelligent student who is good in studies to know about the studies, to know about teachers' behavior and everything. You will choose the person who is good in sports to know about sports related activities going on in the school. You will choose a person who is who you know that goes to canteen every day to know about canteen. Like this, you will be choosing people as per your judgment to know the answers of required questions. Then snowball sampling. This is actually used at the time when you know that you don't know all the population available about for the required characteristic. It is a kind of chain research, chain sampling method. You will be choosing one person and he will be giving you the reference of other people of his kind. This is snowball sampling. It is a kind of research chain you will be making while sampling. Then quota sampling. Quota sampling basically is choosing different clusters or stratas, you can say, and you will be deciding people from them. For example, if you want to choose only male from a company who are above 50, then you'll be only choosing 50 male who are above 50 actually in the from the company. So this is actually a quota. Or for example, you want to choose 10 men 10 women, that is also a kind of quota sampling. So that's all. Now, what is the appropriate sample design? It depends on a number of things, maybe degree of accuracy, resources, time, advanced knowledge of the population, national versus local, need for statistical analysis. These are the points as per the need, and as per our requirements, as per the budget, we will be deciding things. For example, degree of accuracy. There are certain projects in which uh, degree of accuracy is very, very important. In that case, what will you do? How should we choose our sampling method when we know that there are some budget constraints as well? So it is very important to list down all the factors you have in hand and then decide about the sampling design. Because selecting a representative sample is very important to all researcher. Representative sample means which is actually going to present the whole population. It's really important. Otherwise, the whole research is going to do nothing for you. Because if you have not chosen the sample appropriately, then it would not give you the accurate results, actual results which are actually there. This would be giving you distorted results, and they are of no use, because you don't have actual results, you have distorted results, then whole of the process of research is in vain. So it is very wise to check the to choose the sample design very wisely. Sometimes we have to do some trade-off between accuracy and the budget we have in hand. That trade-off is also done sometimes. So depending on that also, we decide that what kind of accuracy we will be going for. Let us have a quick revision of, like, when we know that we have a very low cost budget, then what kind of the possibilities we have in our hand. For low budget, which kind of sampling design you will be choosing? Either you can go for simple random sampling, you can sometimes go for systematic random sampling as well. That is also moderately costed, right? Or you can think of cluster sampling, that is also kind of low cost sampling. Or you can go for convenience or judgment sampling. These are the methods, these are the sampling methods which require low cost at the time of sampling, I mean at the time of data collection through the sample design. But when you know that you have a very good budget in your hand, then you can actually go for other methods as well. For example, stratified sampling can be used, or multi-stage area sampling can also be used. These require high cost, but these are effective. Then resources. Again, resources would include two things. One is money in hand, and another one is labor actually available to you. Sometimes we have good money for the budget, but sometimes we do not have the resources in our hand. You might not be able to find a very good interviewer for a city where you know that you can't go because you don't know the language properly, and some other related reasons are there, and which are actually scientific. So in that case, you can avoid choosing such a sampling design where you know that you do not have the resources. You can find some other ways in that case. Because, for example, a graduate student working on master's thesis, conducting a national survey is almost out, right? Because he cannot conduct a national survey for his master's thesis. So it is also important what kind of the decision you are going to take on basis of this particular research. For a manager, yes, it's important to decide what kind of the answers he is looking for, so as to decide whether this is the kind of research study he is going to do or not. Then time. Researchers who need to meet a deadline would always go for those sampling designs which are quick, which are simple and less consuming sampling designs. Telephonic survey can be done in that case, right? So it depends on so many things. It's not just one thing how you decide the sampling design. Then advanced knowledge of the population. Yes, availability of list of population members is also important. If you do not have the list in your hand, then also your data would be distorted. So accordingly, you will be deciding that whether to choose some sampling method like that or not. In this case, you will not be choosing systematic random sampling, because in that you need a list of population. Then national versus local project. Geographic proximity of population elements will influence your sample design. So when population elements are unequally distributed geographically, then a cluster sampling may be much more effective, attractive. Why? Because you will be dividing the whole population in different clusters, and you can go for the data collection. Then need for statistical analysis. Yes, what kind of analysis you need to do for the study? For example, known probability sampling techniques do not allow the researchers to utilize statistical analysis to project the data beyond the sample. Yes, it happens because known probability sampling techniques are basically for qualitative studies, and probability sampling techniques are generally used for quantitative studies. So if you know that you have to go for some quantitative analysis, you need to apply some correlation, regression, time series analysis or something like that, then you will always be going for quantitative data, and that is generally done in case of probability sampling methods. Yes, internet survey. Internet sampling is also unique. Internet surveys allow researchers to rapidly reach a large sample. Yes, how? Because everybody is using internet these days, and you can just mail people over the internet, and they will be replying to the survey. Speed is both an advantage and a disadvantage. How? Because in some areas, speed of internet is very good and you'll be getting good replies. Disadvantage is in some areas internet is not even available. Even the phone connection is sometimes very bad, that you are not even able to talk to people in those areas. So that is a kind of disadvantage here. Then sample size requirements can be met overnight or almost instantaneously. Yes, when you know that you are going to go for internet sampling, then you can actually mail people today, and overnight you can get all the replies if you request people properly. Survey should be kept open long enough so all sample units can participate. Yes, you can do one thing, you can float the email, or you can put the questionnaire on the website, you can inform people, and in the meantime you just keep checking the replies, and till the time you will be able to reach the stage when you will be actually conducting the analysis, till that time you can keep this open so that people can reply. How internet sampling is done? We have done that. Yes, major sampling disadvantage is lack of computer ownership and internet access among certain segments of the population. Yes, it is there. There are people who are not even able to use internet. Then how would they reply? So basically, you will be restricted to those people who are actually using internet. So your population in case of your research study should be such that they all are actually using internet. Otherwise your results would not be able to represent the whole population of the study. Yet internet samples may be representative of a target population, like visitors to a particular website. Yes. Then hard to reach subjects may participate. Some subjects are really hard to reach and they do not reply when you go to them and try to interview them. But when you float the questionnaire over the internet, people generally reply. Then website visitors. Unrestricted samples are clearly convenient samples. Randomly selecting visitors, questionnaire requests randomly pop up, and overrepresenting the more frequent visitors. Yes, these are the things with website visitors. You will be actually randomly selecting the visitors, but many internet surveys are conducted with volunteer respondents who actually say a yes to such such surveys. So you can actually go and contact companies who have the list of people who will be replying to the surveys, but then these are those experts who reply to almost every survey. You will just get the opinion of those people only who are very habitual in replying to the surveys. So that is a kind of disadvantage as well. Then questionnaire request randomly pops up. Yes, you can mail people, you can randomly send pops up to people, and you can even call them beforehand and tell them the purpose of the study and request them. You can even put some something as a bonus or something, some good thing, so that something as in you can pay them something, you can provide them something as in payback for filling the questionnaire. You can do something like that. That also helps sometimes. But yes, this would be over representing the more frequent visitors. Those who frequent the websites very rarely or just a little less, they would not be the part of this particular web survey then. Panel samples, yes, this typically yield a high response rate. How? Because members may be compensated for their time with a sweepstake or a small cash incentive. Yes, we generally do that in case of panel samples. Database on members, demographic and other information from previous questionnaires can be taken out, and then you can mail all those people who were part of your previous surveys. Then select quota samples based on product ownership, lifestyle, or other characteristic. You have a list of lakhs of people right now in your hand, and you can choose people as per their characteristic on the basis of your research study, and you can actually mail only those people. Then probability samples for large panels. Yes, you can apply probability samples for these large panels. Then you have chosen your population from those lakhs of people. For example, it is 1000 people, and now you have to randomly select 100 or 200 people to respond to a survey. Then you can randomly select them, and this yield better results than other sampling techniques. Internet samples, yes, recruited ad hoc samples are very popular these days, and opt-in list is also one of the examples. Internet sample is to create a sampling frame of email addresses, or you can say you can create these email addresses on an ad hoc basis. You hire people basically to reply to surveys, and researchers may create the sampling frame offline or online as well. These facilities are available with the companies these days. Researchers may contact respondents by mail or by telephone to ask for their email addresses and obtain permission for a internet survey. If you have obtained permission from people, then they will definitely reply, and you can actually go for some cashbacks so that people reply a little earlier than they might have replied. Then opt-in list, internet users who have opted in for limited participation. Yes, you can contact such people as well. These are two different kind of people. Recruited ad hoc samples means you have recruited a few people to reply for such surveys. Opt-in list means there are some voluntary people who might love to volunteer to reply to some survey samples. These two lists generally help in case of internet samples. These were all the techniques available for sampling. We discussed probability, non-probability samplings, then internet sampling, website surveys, and all that. And it is basically decided on the basis of your study that which method to be chosen. This depends basically on three major things. One is time period required for the study. How much time you have in your hand to do the study. Accordingly, you will decide the sampling design, which takes a little less time if you have less time. Then you will be deciding the things on the basis of budget available. If you have less budget, you will go with low cost sampling designs, and you have good budget, then you can go for better techniques as well, which provide you greater accuracy. Then purpose of research, degree of accuracy you need for your research study. For example, you are going to utilize the research study to apply for a real life problem, then you need more accuracy than if you are doing study just for the research purpose. So it depends that what kind of the study you are doing, then how much time you have and how much budget you have. On that basis, you can use either of these sampling designs we have discussed. Now let us go with some true false. The random term refers to the data in the sample, not to the procedure for selecting the sample. Random actually refers to the procedure for selection, right? Selection the sample. So it is not actually for data, it is false. Second, sampling procedure ensuring that each element in the population will have an equal chance of being included in the sample is called simple random sampling. Yes, this is the definition of simple random sampling. So it is true. Third, systematic sampling is a type of true random selection procedure. Is it? It is not actually a random selection procedure, but it yields some random results. It is actually a systematic sampling procedure. You cannot choose respondents randomly. You will be choosing every nth person here. So it is false. Fourth, in stratified sampling, a subsample is drawn using judgmental sampling within each stratum. Is it? Subsample is drawn using judgment sampling within each stratum. Do we use judgment sampling? No, we use simple random sampling while choosing people from each strata. So it is false. Fifth is, an area sample is the most popular type of cluster sampling. Yes, it is mostly used by research centers. So it is true. Sixth, multi-stage area sampling is a cluster sampling approach involving multiple steps. Yes, this is the same. This is actually the definition for multi-stage area sampling. So it is true. Seventh, one advantage of convenient sampling is that there is no need for a population list. Yes, if you do not have a population list, even then you can go with this. So true. Eighth is, multi-stage sample is low cost and frequently used. It is frequently used, but it is not low cost. It is very high cost sampling, but still mostly used by the researchers. Last, if individuals do not opt in to receive email from a particular organization, they may consider unsolicited survey requests to be spam. Yes, it happens. It is true. Self-assessment questions. Describe the differences between a probability sample and non-probability sample. We have discussed throughout the PPT, so you can very well describe it. Second is, comment on the following sampling designs. Citizens group interested in generating public and financial support for a new university basketball arena printed a questionnaire in area newspapers. Readers returned the questionnaires by mail. But how do you define it? Like what kind of sampling design is here? Those most interested in basketball or those most opposed to the financial program will be most likely to support the questionnaire and return the questionnaire. This method of self-selection will probably cause the sample to bias toward the two extreme groups. Yet yes, it happens. One would be overrepresented and another one would be underrepresented. So it is not actually the right way to go and collect the data for both the things. Then department store that wishes to examine whether the store is losing or gaining customers draws a sample from its list of credit card holders by selecting every 10th name. What it is actually systematically taken up, systematic random sampling. Third question is, a telephone interviewer opens an interview by asking, I would like to ask you about race. Are you Native American, Hispanic, Black, Oriental, or white? After the respondent replies, the interviewer says, we have conducted a large number of surveys with people of your background and we do not need to question you further. Thank you for your cooperation. What type of sampling was utilized in this? What type of sampling is this? I am trying to ask the respondent that whether it is Native American, Hispanic, Black, Oriental, or white. That means I have decided a quota for everyone. So this is quota sampling. Next, fourth question, what are the benefits of stratified sampling? You have to list down all the benefits strata sampling has got, right? What geographical units within a metropolitan area are useful for sampling? You have to do this. How would you decide it? Geographical units within a metropolitan areas which are useful. You can take the information through some census related census of that particular area and then decide as per the research study. Then sixth is, outline the step-by-step procedure you would utilize to select the following. A random sample of 150 students at your university. How would you do that? chances are this list is computerized and a computer program could be utilized to generate this list, right? Every university has these days. If the student directory is utilized, a name could be numbered and a random numbers table could be utilized. More practically, however, would be the selection of a random starting point, and then you can choose every nth person from the whole population. One could assume that this is systematic sample and it is equivalent to random sampling then. So basically you will be choosing simple random sampling or systematic sampling in this case. Or you can do one more thing, you can divide people, the whole population into groups, male and female, then you will be able to have both opinion of both male as well as female. Then you can choose 75 people, 75 males and 75 females, and that can also be done through systematic random sampling. Then you can utilize multiple sampling designs in one research study. That's it. Thank you. In next video, we'll be discussing determination of sample size. We have discussed how a sample should be decided. Now we will be studying what should be the appropriate sample size as per the study. That's it. Thank you.